but it was his team's run for a title that captured the hearts of New Yorkers in 2000.
The Mets are going to the World Series.
In a season full of magic, the Mets would eventually run out of it against the Yankees, but not before Valentine cemented his place as one of the New York Mets' most loved managers ever.
We love the guy! How about Bobby Valentine?
Oh, Michael, buddy. Bobby,
Woo!
good to see you, Bobby. Good to see you, Michael.
Thanks for staying around. You've been waiting a while, so we appreciate
Thank
you
you,
coming.
Bob, for a great show, great time. Thank you. Bobby's always another one. You know, whether it was 9/11 or whatever, Bobby's always been pitching in, doing. I mean, I remember Bobby loading the trucks out in the street there. So Bobby is the guy who's always pitches in when it comes to a charity. He does a very good job in that regard. He's done he deserves an applause for that. He does a very good job. Okay, now it's time for them to kill. All right, here we go. Yeah. Well, let's go back. Here's the day. Bobby and I are going through a rough patch. So I go down to his office at 12:30 to have a little meeting. Just he and I. About 1:45, we're still in there, basically nose to nose, coming to blows down there in the Met locker room. He's doing a show by himself. We're down there still fighting till about 20 after 2, about a 2-hour brawl in your office.
What the hell do you think that was?
I have no idea. I don't even remember
at the time.
I don't even remember. But we were pretty feisty in those days.
It was hot and heavy. It was fun. And, we did some good radio.
Oh, you do.
We did some good radio.
I love the time that Bobby's going to remember this at spring training in Port St. Lucie. And Bobby's down the third base line, 5 o'clock, whatever it might be. And WFAN had not reached a deal yet with Bobby to come on weekly basis.
Mark and Joel, yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Bobby said,
Yes.
I'm in New
The
York.
10, they had the 10 or something out there.
I'm in New York. I'm managing the Mets, and I got the Padre manager making more than me doing it. You remember that?
Yeah, I
And
do.
Bobby went on and on. He was so right that they hadn't made a deal with him yet to be the weekly spot.
My agent was in San Diego. He had Bruce as his client, and he couldn't figure out how he was getting more money in San Diego than you cheap son of a bitch were getting me. But it really wasn't you. It really wasn't. No.
How was it being the other guy managing against the Yankees in 2000 in the World Series?
Whew. That was such a blur, and it really was a spectacular time. I saw Johnny Franco here, and I know Jeff Wilpon was here earlier, and it was a fabulous time for the Mets. Johnny, they still love you.
That is unbelievable. I mean, how do you boo Johnny Franco?
How was it Johnny there, bro?
I think they're going to
I get it.
Hey, you didn't even get the joke. It went right over your head. I mean, jeez.
But that was a special time managing that ball club.
Yeah, and I played for Joe in 77 and 78 when he was a Met manager. People sometimes forget that. And he's been the same class act as he was then as he is now. But in between, when we were doing battle, and we were doing that first Subway interleague series, which was fiasco after fiasco, as you remember, the doubleheader, the Twilight doubleheader, and all. But Joe was just so classic during that World Series.
Well, here's the thing, though, to tell the truth about the World Series. It was so unfair to the Mets. The Yankees completely shut down from the media. They would do nothing. They would do...
They brought their furniture in, though. They had their furniture in. They were comfortable.
George caused a flood over in the locker room and brought in his own furniture, but they just shut down. They did nothing and left the Mets to do every interview for every media person in the country. And the Mets were not happy about that.
The guys thought it was really cool until they were so darn tired of talking. And they so overanalyzed every pitch and everything that was going on, they realized what the Yankees were doing.
But let's be honest for a second. That series is 5 games. It hinges on a couple of plays.
Oh, first game.
Timo Perez. I mean, we start right there. I mean, you guys were an inch away from that being a very different series.
Paul O'Neal
Yeah.
walked in. Then he walked
The
in
great
right there.
walk.
Great at bat.
And the one
It's
that-
My career is like defined by a great walk.
A great walk.
Great, that's cool.
And
Really.
Timo losing his way on the base.
Yeah, Tino stopping to run a little. Yeah, that was
And you know what?
great group of guys, great heart, great fans. The city was never more alive than it was in that year in that series. I just stayed in the city the whole time. I would walk the streets. I was in the restaurants, the bars. I was in the bars and the restaurant. Well, I was walking the streets a lot, and everyone was into it.
And I thought, and Mike and I both thought this, I thought you took an unfair hit because Leiter pitched game 5 and you left him out there. And I know you beat yourself up over it, but Leiter was pitching so well, and Louis Soho
He got beat on a 400 hopper.
I mean, he hit that 800, he hit that bouncing ball with
400
900.
hopper up the middle.
And you took a lot of hits for that.
And remember, it went by our 5th string
Yeah, who was the shortstop?
It was, might have been Kurt Abbott.
Yeah, it was Kurt
at the
Abbott.
time.
It was Kurt
Yeah. Who got picked off against the
That's it.
game 1 to see.
He got picked off in that
What a
series,
plus
too,
he
yeah.
was with them. That's
Well, he was a good guy, but he wasn't supposed to be playing that. You know, that was supposed to be who? Ray, who?
Well, you did nothing
Gordy,
wrong with that.
who? Mora. It could have been a lot of guys.
How about the Piazza home run after 9/11?
Spectacular. Everyone felt it, saw it. Yeah, spectacular. That wasn't a game. You guys know that. You all know that. That was an event. It was the greatest event I ever had the opportunity to go to and be part of, and then to feel every second the pulse of this city, and then to see everyone get on their feet and cheer after Mike hit that home run and change. I think it changed the world.
You know,
It changed my world. I guarantee you that.
Dog remembers
It was
that
special.
day.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of tension that day.
Oh,
And
no one knew what to do, how to act.
They
Yeah.
and as a matter of fact, Fred called us and said, listen, the fans are going to be a little apprehensive. You're going to do the show there, come in early, do the whole show there, and let everyone know that everyone the ballpark's okay. You're in the ballpark, you're
Yes,
talking from
yes,
the ballpark.
yes.
And let everyone feel comfortable about coming back to the ballpark, because everyone was a little on pins and needles there, obviously.
A lot on pins and
And that's the
needles,
only
yeah.
time, and Dog will tell you, we a lot of times have sat through the bomb sniffing dogs coming through during about 5 o'clock.
Sure.
That day they made us get out of the stadium. Remember they made us
I
put
sure
a tape
do,
on
yeah.
to get out of the stadium. They never used to make us get out. They made us get out that day. They were that tight on security, and there was a lot of tension. Mike broke the tension, obviously. I never saw a more emotional. That's still the most emotional moment I've ever seen in any sport.
Wow.
Was that home run.
I'm with you. The emotion
really was.
incredible. Yeah.
How about him making the Hall of Fame? You had a lot to do with his career.
Yes.
How about Mike making the Hall of Fame?
Yes, long overdue. Best hitting catcher in baseball. He's going to do us proud as he goes into the hall wearing a Met uniform and yeah. First position player ever, as a Met. And
He was
he's
a
the
great
right
hitter.
Oh, it's right here.
And not only
He's
that,
a great big hitter.
how many
As you
great,
like to say, he's a great
how
big
many
hitter.
big home runs did
Yeah,
he
he
hit?
was big,
Oh,
boy. He was
God.
big. He's big,
That was
Mike.
a,
God bless you, Mike.
How true was it? Everybody likes to think that Mike and I brought Piazza to the Mets. Because the Mets...
I've heard that.
Now, you know what we were campaigning for that forever. Now, I've heard other people say, it's a bunch of nonsense, not true, everything else, he was coming anyway. You were involved, it was your team, that was an overachieving team that played pretty well before the Piazza trade on Memorial Day. How about Piazza coming to New York in '97?
I think he had a lot to do with it. I'm not sure because we flew back. Steve asked me, what do you think about Piazza? I gave him a couple one-liners. What do you think about Mike Piazza? Yeah, but we had a pretty good catcher at the time, Todd Hundley. I said, Mike Piazza, what are we dreaming? And then the next day it was off. Remember the headlines off, no chance.
Steve came on our show and said, no way.
It's over. And I got on my bike and did my pregame. And then I went into the bathroom and I sat down and I was doing my pregame. And Steve came in. Oh, yeah, that too, yeah. And Steve came in and knocked on the door. He said, yeah, what is it? He says, are you sitting down?
Yes.
I said, yes. Says we just traded for Mike Piazza. He said, you gotta be me.
How about the way he just changed the culture of the team? How the attendance went crazy through the roof.
Yeah.
One guy changing a whole organization. He
I
really
believe
did.
that totally.
I totally agree.
We lived it, Johnny and I lived it. We were there, we were doing fine. It was moving along, and when he got here, everything changed.
I'll bet you-
Perception included.
I know, I just thought of the game, and you mentioned Johnny. and he showed tremendous guts that night. You remember that 99 game when they were about to lose the big lead, and on a Friday night, he let Franco in the ninth against the Pirates?
Pirates, oh yes.
Oh, he was walking.
Yes.
Where are you, Johnny?
No, he wasn't walking. The umpire was missing him. Johnny, you weren't walking.
I'm telling you.
Hey, that was a ride on a Wonder Wheel that night. That was. I remember that.
But you, and I tell you, Johnny got a 3-2 strike to somebody
Yep.
in a big spot, and you left Johnny in that
Johnny
game.
got squeezed that night by
he
the
did, he
umpire.
got squeezed.
Absolutely.
And John had all sorts of
Yes.
guys. But you left them in that game. And that was the game that the Mets, they swept the Pirates, and then they beat the Reds, and then they go and beat Arizona. But you left him in the game in that ninth inning, a game that had to happen against you. Remember that ninth
I
inning?
could leave him in any game. He was as dependable as anybody.
You know what he had? He had guts.
He had guts. You bet he had guts.
That's what he had. He's a New York guy. He's got guts. That's exactly it. Hey, how about this though?
Yeah.
You're as good a baseball analyst as there is.
Hey, how about this real quick, if I can? I was on the show with you guys for 8 years.
Yes.
You convinced me after show number maybe 260 that collectively you were the best baseball minds in America.
No.
Now you come out tonight and you say you had the choice, you'd manage your coach a football team? What the hell's that all about? Come on, you guys.
You know why? Because the guy in football has more power over the team than anybody else.
Down here. And more
Absolutely.
coaches.
And more yeah, he's a chairman of the board. Can you put the Met? We hear a lot of stuff about the Met 4 pitchers. Give us your realistic thought about just how good, or maybe they're not, maybe they are. Put these 4 guys in perspective, same place, same time. The 4 of them as this year starts together.
I don't even know how to compare it. It's nothing in my lifetime.
Have you seen anything like it?
I've never seen anything like
I
it.
agree.
And I love watching it every day. I've never seen anything like it. As far as quality,
One guy said, Bob, you agree with this? That's at the same age with power stuff, that's the best 4 pitches ever to come up at the same time in the history of baseball.
You know, the only ones that people talk about, my father-in-law mentioned it, was that Cleveland team where they had 54. They had 4 guys. They won 20. They pitched in a 4-man rotation.
Right.
You know, with Speller and Wynn and
Mike
Martin Garcia, who wasn't the hard thrower. But, you know,
Bob Levin.
And Bobby Levin. And other than that, who had the quality and the competitiveness? No, the Braves were very good, damn it, and I hate them. But I don't hate it.
But look at how.
But they did have very
And they had
pitching,
eight
but they
with the
didn't
big
have
3.
this kind of pitching. No, they did not.
So these guys, you agree with that? That's not overstating the fact with these 4 guys.
No, now they have to go out and do it, and I can't wait for it to start. Yeah.
You know, it's funny,
Yeah,
Mike.
they're going to do it.
If, in fact, Benitez had gotten that save in '99 in Atlanta, he would have done what the Red Sox did 5 years later, before the Red Sox, down
We
3
would've
under the
gone for it.
Braves. And Bobby said, hey, we're not out of this yet.
We could have.
Ventura hit the home. Remember, Ventura hit
Absolutely,
the. And then you went to Atlanta. Al got bombed on short rest. Ricky Henderson's playing crossroads in a dugout. Where's Ricky playing a puzzle? And you stayed in there. You came back. Piazzi had a big homer off Smokes. And then Diaz couldn't get the save in the ninth inning.
Yes, and then Kenny Rogers walked the guy who never
Oh,
won.
Rogers.
That's it. Against Andrew Jones with bases loaded.
You and I had
There were a
that.
couple of different
And
Kenny
we
Rogers
had
boys.
Dotel in the bullpen. He was my last pitcher. He was a young right-hander who was tough on right-handers. And when everyone says, regrets, I had a few, it might have been that one.
Wow.
That he didn't bring that slider in to pitch to him.
What manager did you like managing against the most in the other dugout?
You know, I really enjoyed when I was young doing against Billy Martin. Because Billy acknowledged everything during the game. You know, if you did something, he'd kind of look over and acknowledge it.
Oh, he would.
If he did something, he'd stare over and say, how about that? And there was more of that in those days, you know, like
really
watching. Oh, yeah. And he was fun. And it was always the next day, hey, Dag, how you doing? Good job yesterday, Dag. Sorry we had to kick your butt. You know.
So he was good to a young manager.
He was very good. He was very
You
good.
told me this before. Bobby lives in Stanford, so I see him all the time. Tell Mike, I don't know if Mike's heard these stories, and he is Mr. Stanford, by the way, and does a superb job.
Mr. Nocaden, you know.
Tell Mike a couple stories that's phenomenal. Managing Texas where George W. Bush is the owner.
I don't remember any of that. Actually, George was cool. George would come in, he'd jog every day, jog around the ballpark, the inner circle of the ballpark, and then he'd come in and he'd use the shower in my office because it was the only really running water we had in the clubhouse in those days. You remember that Texas clubhouse? And you know, we converted old minor league stadium and everything, but then he would sit around for an hour, kind of with a towel around him, and we'd talk baseball, and then as soon as the players started coming in, he would leave. Yeah, and he really was a terrific person for
And he
baseball.
could not tell him, but he couldn't fire you. That's a great story.
He couldn't. Well, he did.
He finally got up the gum.
He finally got.
No, he didn't want to, right? Tell him that story.
Yeah, well, we were buddies, and not buddies. We were friends. We were kind of colleagues. I was showing him the ropes of baseball as he was learning baseball. So, you know, all the stats were coming out then. What does this mean? How do you do this? What about lineups? Why do you steal more? We had a guy on our payroll named Craig Wright. He was a sabermetrician in 1986, 7, 8, 9, and 1990. Oh yeah. He would give you these theories about stolen bases and bunts, and first time ever anybody delved into that stuff. And George was he was all about it. You know, all about baseball. He would have wanted
to be the commissioner.
I think he did.
He kind of felt that he was going to be the commissioner.
I think it would have been a nice choice, but then he went on to be a governor, and then.
But he hated that he didn't want to fire you, right?
Well, I don't know. He said one time it was and this was before he was president. He said the worst decision he ever made was firing me and trading Sammy Sosa.
Sammy Sosa, that's right. And you, exactly. Would you manage again now?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so.
No?
Who the hell knows? I mean, I might. I'm on a couple speed dials in case, you know,
So
in case something goes wrong, you know.
If someone offered you a decent team, would you take it?
Yeah, sure, probably. I don't know. Could. Who knows?
Well, that Red Sox thing, I was so happy that you got that.
You were happy at what happened in Boston? Yeah, you were happy.
I was so disappointed that didn't work. What happened up in Boston?
Everything. You know, there's a book out. I saw it all in Boston. It was eight months. You know, I was like in Texas for 7 years, and I was in Japan for 7 years, New York for 7 years, and Boston for 7 months. So, you know, yeah. It was some misery. I'm reading this book with my title on the book. I didn't even know a guy wrote it. Some Russo guy, okay, who's a sports writer up there, and it's like the demise of Bobby Valentine, season 2012 or something. And I could remember stuff like Bobby Jenks was going to be my closer that year. I never met Bobby Jenks. Never said hello to the guy. Okay, he like in a car thing, and then a drug thing, and then a rehab thing. Where's my closer? He never came to the ballpark.
I never got.
Oh yeah. Are you kidding?
And the Red Sox have been a mess, and they won the one, but they've been a mess the last 2 or 3 years. I always thought that was a tough spot for you.
It was terrible. I was terrible, and it was terrible.
Oh, you were terrible?
You know what? We were 53 and 50 after 103 games with a pretty lousy team. Pretty lousy. And then I was sitting in the clubhouse one day, ready to go for the national anthem, and along the bottom of the TV on ESPN came scrolling trade between Boston and LA. And I'm getting up and I'm tucking my shirt and I'm walking to the door and I'm looking at the TV and I said, what the hell? I'm Boston. Maybe this is basketball. I swear to God.
So they made a trade out insulting you.
I'm walking out of the office and going down to the dugout. And Adrian Gonzalez is in the clubhouse. And he says, the hell am I in the lineup for? I'm traded to the Dodgers. I said, don't believe all that shit you read, Adrian. You're not traded to the Dodgers. You're playing first base tonight. So he goes down. He said, no. You know what he said? No, not only me, Punto, Carl, and Beckett are going too. I swear to God.
We left the wall up.
I swear to God.
I left the wall.
So I said, come on, this is all BS. What are you saying? I go down for the national anthem. Went down to Boston River. All the guys are up on the stage. I got a tap on the shoulder. It's assistant general manager. He says, you better make out a new lineup. You can't have Punto and Gonzalez and Crawford in it. We just traded them. It happened. And then one other time, it was a lot of crazy stuff. This is kind of true. Jerry Royster would take my lineup card up, my third base coach. So he took the lineup card up. We were playing, wish I knew. I wish I knew who it was. He comes back into the dugout, okay? And he says, you don't have to worry about this guy. God, I can't remember who it was. He's a right-handed hitter. He's a third. Valencia. We were playing Minnesota.
Right.
You right? Don't have to worry about him. He got traded. I said, okay, good. Cross him off the bottom of the lineup card for the other team. And our team took the field. I said, so Jerry, who did he get traded? He said, us. It was an interesting year.
So you were in the loop.
Hey, I understand. I wasn't quite in the loop.
Give us a quick Yankee Met prediction. What would you say for the Yankee season this year?
Oh, I'm praying for him. You're wondering what I'm praying for him to do, right? Yeah. I think they're going to win 90 games.
Do you really?
I think they're going to be in it. Yeah.
How would you like to have that for?
I think that division's a very difficult division, and I don't know if 90 games is even going to give them a ticket to ride, but I think they're going to win 90 games.
All right, and the Mets, who's the favorite in the National League, the Mets or the Cubs?
I think the Mets are because they beat the Cubs. Yeah. Until the Cubs do something to the Mets in the postseason.
I think the Cubs are a little overrated. They have a lot of young players, and their pitching might not be as good as people think.
They're pretty good. They're darn good, and they have to continue to come together. It's not that easy a thing. Last year that team came together.
Can be that good again, though?
I doubt it.
Impossible, right?
Well, he threw 80 extra innings last year, so
yes.
you got to wonder about that, right?
You got to wonder. Love their manager, love their idea. I mean, that's a cool place to be. You want to take a weekend.
Oh, Wrigley Field.
This year, you go over when the Cubs are at home. That town, that city will be electric.
If I asked you 10 years from now, this might be a hard one, but you know what? You're good at these. If I asked you 10 years from now, Harvey, Matt, Syndergaard, DeGrom, which one's the most successful?
I got to say that Matt Harvey will have the best numbers.
Matt Harvey.
And I love the rest of them.
I know you do. No, they're all
Syndergaard's
good.
the youngest.
They're all good.
And he's spectacular.
But if you were going to bet on one, he'd be the one
I
you
had
bet on?
to put my nickel on the guy. I put my nickel on Cespedes. Oh, no, not Cespedes. Matt Harvey. Yeah.
Well, listen, thanks very much.
Bobby
Valentine, everybody. Great job. Thank you, Bobby. Thanks for coming on.
They're back.
Very good job from Bobby Valentine. Absolutely. Before we get to Jeff, we got a couple things here. Are you ready?
Don't forget the text, the reunion for the donations, right?
Yes,
do that?
we'll do that right now. And you can text reunion to 72727 to make your tax-deductible donation to the Garden of Dreams, the foundation. Obviously, anywhere, whether you're watching on MSG, listening on Sirius, listening on the Fan. Two things. The Masters.
Yes.
Next week. Who do you like?
I can't take Bubba Watson again.
Well, he's got a bad back, man of a bad back too. I'll give you three guys. Give me three guys.
Jason Day.
Jason Day.
Jason Day is playing so well right now.
He has won the last two tournaments.
Oh my God.
Jason Day.
I don't think Spieth will win. I think Mickelson will have a good tournament, but I don't think he will win. I think Charles Schwartzel will play well. He won this year.
Would you go Rory up or Rory down?
Rory's not going to win.
No Spieth, no Rory.
Yeah, I don't think those two are going to win. And I think Phil will be good, but I don't think he'll win.
So I'll give you three guys. Who
Adam
you taking?
Scott, third one.
You're taking Scott, Day, and Schwartzel.
Those would be the three I take.
All right, I'll take. Now, Bubba, I'm leaving out because they say his back's iffy, so we'll leave
He's
him
good
out.
there, as you know.
Because he's going to have a chance if he's there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll go Mickelson. I like the lefty. Plus, he's keeping it in the fairway right now.
He's
when
playing
he hits
well.
the ball.
He's had a good year.
I know it's a long shot, but you know what? I still take.
You've always loved him. You've always loved him.
Yes. I'll take. You took both Day and Scott, who are the hot players.
Well, Day, I love.
I know this is a risky pick. I will take as one of my three Dustin Johnson.
He's so up and down.
Because he can bring
he's
that
good
course to his knees.
Yeah, absolutely right.
All he's got to do is make a darn putt once in a while.
And avoid the bad blow-up hole.
Right.
He has that bad
you got to get a 12 on one
Exactly.
hole. You know that, or a couple of snowmen down the stretch.
Which he does.
Yes. I'll take Mickelson. I'll take Dustin Johnson. And I will take, even though he's been terrible, because of the way he can putt, I'll take Spieth.
He has been bad.
You know, he chased the money all over the world.
He's
so
played too much.
He didn't. He saw the $9 zillion deal with Under Armour. He didn't have to go chase the money all over the world.
He has played too
And
much.
he hasn't played well.
No, he has not.
The way he putts is unbelievable.
I tell you though, I love Day right now.
Jay's been great.
Oh God, he did.
And Adam Scott's been really good.
Yeah, he
this
is,
year,
and he's
too.
won there.
Adam Scott's been really
And
good.
he's won there. That's a great week.
But so now, the other thing we didn't get to, NBA Finals.
Right. Well, let's do Golden State for a second.
Good.